Have you ever met a fellow mom and you knew immediately this is a woman that I can relate to? Well, that's exactly how I felt the first time I met Julia Barbaro. She is a homeschooling mom of 6 and a certified life coach. And today she joins me on the show to infuse you with a little bit of joy in your journey as a mom. This is going to be a great conversation. Stick around. I think you're going to be encouraged. Well, hey, everybody, how are you doing today? Before I jump into my interview with my guest, Julia Barbaro, I want to let you know of a couple of changes that are coming up here at the Heidi St. John podcast. For the last 8 years, I have been bringing podcasts to you regularly, and I hope you have enjoyed them. We recently passed 23 million downloads here at the show, and I couldn't be more thankful for the many, many years of listenership that you guys have been offering to me. It's just a joy to be here. We're making a couple of changes in an effort to improve the show and improve the programming. And so starting immediately, you're going to see that the show is going to air 3 days a week. So instead of 5 days, we're going to air 3 days a week. We're going to bring more guests on and we're going to lengthen those interviews so that I'm able to pull a little bit more meat and potatoes out of the interviews and hopefully bring you even better programming in the years to come. You're also going to notice, if you are a subscriber to the Heidi St. John podcast, that those happy hour episodes are going to come now with regularity, as the guests that come on the show will be staying after the regular show to record more information and give you more tips and tidbits to help you on your journey wherever you are. It's really been my hope when we started this thing, years ago. It was our hope to just infuse your day with a little bit of joy and encouragement. We have lived through COVID together, you guys. We've been through lots of different election seasons have come and gone. We're coming up on a new one right now. And I think it's going to give us a lot of great things to talk about in the months ahead. And so what I want to do is just leave some breathing room for those conversations. So rather than just 20 minutes, we're going to extend them a little bit longer and hopefully give you even more encouragement in your journey wherever you are. My passion really lies right here at the intersection of faith and culture, to be able to talk about current events and what's happening in the world around us. I'm interested in politics, obviously interested in education. I'm interested in encouraging you in your marriages and in your walk with the Lord. That really is the reason that we do the podcast and that we've invested so much into it in the last 8 years or so. And we're coming up on 2,000 episodes. So we have a lot of water underneath the bridge here and a lot of episodes that we have already done. And I'm looking forward to doing more of them in the future with you, which have a little bit more time to them. And hopefully we can jump into some of the topics that are interesting to you in an even more comprehensive way. So with that said, I would love to hear from you. Since we're making this change and we've already recorded some of these podcasts in advance, I would love to hear, who would you like to hear from on the show? What topics are interesting to you? As we do a little bit of a revamp and a reset, this is the time that I can really use your input. Would love to hear what you would like to hear about and what is resonating with you as an audience. So I want to say thank you for all of those of you who have been listening to the show for so many years now. It is no small thing to pass 23 million downloads. A lot of time and effort goes into the show. We love doing it, and we're looking forward to the season ahead. So from now on, for the foreseeable future, the Heidi St. John podcast is going to be longer, and it's going to air Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. All right, you guys, without further ado, don't forget, reach out to me, HeidiSt.John.com/mailbox Monday. That's how you do it. That's how you reach out to me, HeidiSt.John/mailbox Monday, or you can email me at info@HeidiSt.John.com. Either one of those will get to me. We love it when you go to the link, because then I can be sure and keep all of your comments and questions and guest ideas in one place. So it's a little bit easier to get to. So we appreciate that. Again, that's HeidiSt.John.com/mailbox Monday. All right, without further ado, here is my brand new friend and yours too, Julia Barbaro. So, hey, Julia, welcome to the Heidi St. John podcast. I'm really glad you're here.
Oh, Heidi, I'm so excited. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So let's find out all things, Julia. You're going to come back on Happy Hour and answer my rapid fire questions, and I can't wait for that. That's going to be fun. One of my favorite things to do. But I obviously was introduced to you through our friends at Brave Books. Super fascinated by your family, by your story. Tell listeners a little bit about you and your family.
Yeah, I love to, Heidi. So I'm a stay-at-home mom of 6 children. My husband and I have been married for 25 years.
So you're very bored, in other words.
I'm
You're
bored.
just
That's
so
why
bored.
I'm doing this.
Nothing's going on.
No.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what can I do to put something else on that plate?
Yeah, to fill my time.
Yeah. And so here I am. No, so it started out, I actually met my husband in a restaurant he bought in my town. And I met him because I was working on that. And he was working with his family. He bought this restaurant, this Italian restaurant.
In New York.
In New York. I was in my early 20s. And I was so fascinated that he was working with his family. He worked with his father in the kitchen. His brother would come in and his mom would. And I'm like, there's something about that I love. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I could ever have that. But it really set it up for what actually happens now, 25 years later, is that here we are, this one big family working together. But over the years of that, after having multiple children and pregnancies, living in New York with a lot of snow for all.
Now, where in New York? Upstate New York? Where were you?
Yeah, so it was about 45. It's in Mayapack. It's a little town in Putnam County, about 45 minutes from the city. And so we lived upstate. It was, we had chickens and all. So it wasn't the city.
Yeah.
We'll talk about chickens in a little later, Heidi. I know that's a dream
girl,
of
that
yours,
chickens.
And I've been thinking about this for a couple of weeks. But over just time helping him out with the restaurant, doing what I could, because we also decided to homeschool. Like we went, my mother-in-law, it's super Italian. She is so into what everyone else is doing.
I mean, Barbaro, you guys are definitely Italian.
Yes,
yeah.
But she's old school. And so when I'm like, I'm going to have home birth, she's like, no. And then I even traumatized her more. I'm like, we're going to homeschool. She's like, wait, what? And so a lot of things, I was like the black sheep in the family that came along. And my husband.
The anti-establishment Italian.
Exactly.
You should write a book, The Anti-Establishment Italian Mother.
I love it. I love that. And so over the years, we just started loving to work with each other. But then he got into real estate. And I don't really like real estate. I'm going to be honest. It's the most boring topic of my life. But I figured it away. I'm like, you know what? I really like recording. I like editing. I like camera work. And so I would do these little things that would kind of bring us together. And my kids got involved. And we started this little show. It was called Gino's Family, where we were trying to teach people that cooking with your family is fun. And do it. And then you get to sit down and eat together. And so we had this little show. If you look on YouTube, Gino's Family, there's all my kids are little.
I'm writing it down right now. Okay.
And
my husband check it out.
teaches you everything because he's an Italian chef. But as he got into real estate, I kind of I was like, man, what about me? And all the people, my husband, you met him. He's super loving. He's this Italian teddy bear.
He is he has a lot of energy.
He does.
Yeah.
Exhausting.
Yeah.
He's exhausting. Okay.
Energy. Yeah.
He would attract these family people into his community. He teaches people how to buy multifamily apartments. Okay. Nice. And all the people that would join were these family people that had kids. A lot of them were Christian. And they're like, Julia, how do you do what you do? And I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. I just figure it out. Like we'd have the kids come to the events and so then I'm like, yeah, how do I do that? I don't even know. It sounds kind of silly. But someone actually said something. My husband was a life coach at the time, which I thought was the stupidest thing in the world. I'm like, what is this life coach thing? I think it's kind of kooky. But he was changing people's lives. Like they literally would come to me, thank you for your husband. I'm like, what? So I kind of looked at it when I got home from one of his events, and I was kind of secretly looking to see what a life coach does. And I'm like, I wonder if there's a Christian version of that, something God-centered. And there was. And so I was like, I don't know. All the limiting beliefs came. Can't do it. Yeah. Too many children. All of it.
Homeschooling.
Everything. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because someone needs me. Someone needs me to talk to them and say, you're doing a great job. Like literally just that. And so I did it. And what a life changer. Oh my gosh. Our marriage exploded in good ways. Our family life. And now we go to real estate conferences together with his community. They're ready to do cap rates and all these numbers. And I'm like, I'm Julia Barbaro. We're going to be talking about relationships. And they're
That's
like,
awesome.
What? But it's the best part of their weekend because guess what? They get to go home to their family and have an awesome relationship. And so that's where we are. We have a podcast. We talk about family and relationships. I have a couple of kids' books. I do coach one-on-one. I have group. As my kids talk, group. We have group.
Now, how old are your kids?
So our children are 9 through 24, and we have 5 daughters and 1 son. Yeah. Our son is second, if anyone's curious. So, yeah, he's second in the line.
My parents had 7 children.
Yes.
1 son and 6 daughters.
Ooh.
And he was first in line. And people would say, oh, you're poor. That's so, it's so sad. Your brother is all alone. I'm like, please do not feel sorry for him. He does not share his bedroom, does not share his clothes, never has to share the bathroom. None of it. He gets, I mean, I'm like trying to clamor for a curling iron that's being used by 5 other people. My brother's like, I have to use the bathroom and everyone has to leave.
That's right. And I don't know, my girl spoiled my boy. He's completely, utterly spoiled.
Oh no.
It's ridiculous. They cook for him. They straighten up his room. They love him. And I think that's the beauty of it. Yeah.
It's so great. It's so great. So what is so you've kids, so the cannolis exploded, the gelato blast. What is this?
And pizza with a purpose. Yeah. My husband writes real estate books. Like I said, kind of boring. And I'm like, we got to do something. We got to do something fun. So the first one we came out was Cannolis Exploded. And it basically is 3 characters. Something really bad happens. Pity Party Pig obviously complains a lot. And he just finds
he's a Democrat. He's a Democrat.
My kid, I mean, you should see
perpetual victim.
Exactly. 100%. 100%. And so all throughout the book, he's making excuses, and Responsible Rhino is like, no, we gotta do something.
Responsible Rhino.
And so it just teaches the kids about responsibility. And yes, bad things happen. We get to choose what we want to do, so
personal responsibility.
Exactly.
Hey, there's an idea.
It's an idea.
There is an idea. So you guys moved from New York, from upstate New York to Florida.
Big move.
What brought you there?
I could tell you the real reason, or I could just tell you the weather. The weather was lovely.
Well, the weather's not, I mean, come on.
The weather's a little better. My daughter, so our oldest was graduating high school, and my husband got out of the restaurant. And like I said earlier, I loved the family dynamics of him working together with his family. Yeah. But what also came was there needed to be a separation, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And so they didn't respect the fact that he was no longer there. And it was kind of like, hey, Gino, can you help us out? We're having a hard time. We lived 7 minutes from there. Mm-hmm. And my husband literally needed a separation from his family. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that I remember he came home. It was snowy outside. He was wiped out. And for many years, I saw the progression of it. His father had passed away some years earlier. And I know that had a lot to do with him losing interest in the company. But he came home and he's like, I just can't do it. And he said, what if I sell the restaurant fully, and get into real estate, and we moved to Florida. Now everyone and everything we knew was in this little town. We knew, it was our life.
That's a big deal.
It is. And I just saw in him something that I've never really seen, like a desperation of change that he needed, that I'm like, sure. I said, I have no idea how it's going to happen. If God wants us to move, we'll go. And it will be fine. Now, it wasn't just snap of fingers. It was 2 full years of torture, trying to sell our house, trying to find a house. But there was a lot of times where I'm like, I don't know if God wants us to go. And I'm like, I think I'm going to back off. And then something else would happen. And he's like, oh, we really need to go. I'm like, all right. And there was just one time where the house was literally packed up. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, I'm traumatizing our whole family. Our whole family. I'm talking like my siblings, my mom. Yes.
Did everyone. They live in New York also?
All your family? There, 100%, everyone. And I'm just sitting there like, what the heck? And I'm like, is this the right move? Like, God, are you sure this is what? And everything was packed in our house. And it was nighttime. Kids were sleeping. And I'm walking through the house, and there was this it was one of our Christmas ornaments that was still accidentally not packed. Like one of those things that you don't see until like one. Right. It's like, wait a second, why is that hanging there?
That's the stuff. When I move like that, it's always the little things at the end that just drive you insane. Yeah. And I'm just like, you know what? If I missed it, just throw it away. I don't even care. Yes. My grandmother's diamond ring, I don't care. Throw it away. I don't look at anything. Yeah. It's there's always that junk box at the end.
Absolutely.
For all the things you're like, oh shoot, no one looked in the closet in the upstairs bedroom. Yeah. That kind of thing. Yeah. I'm tracking with you.
No, but it was a little picture of like the Holy Family, like when they were leaving, when they were escaping from when everyone, Herod is killing all the children. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they went with faith. And I'm not. I'm terrified here. I'm complaining. And rightfully so. I'm leaving everyone. But it was that moment where I'm like, I need to have actual faith and not just pretend, and actually be, okay, God, you really truly are in control, and I'm just going to surrender that. And that's what I did. And yes, it was traumatizing and hard and all of that.
Yeah.
But I knew that's what we had to do.
Yeah.
And it worked out great.
And you guys are so now you're in, is it Tampa? I can't remember. You told me.
So we're in St. Augustine.
St. Augustine. Yes. I knew that. Okay. I love St. Augustine.
Incredible.
It's so pretty. It's an old, is that the oldest city in Florida? I mean, it's old.
Until someone comes from like Santa Fe or somewhere and then they're like, no, we have the oldest city. Or someone comes from up north, like, no, it depends.
Yeah. Someone's like, oh, hey, you're not a native anything, blah, blah, blah. You know, my ancestors. Yeah. You never know.
It says oldest city everywhere. So I'm just going to go there.
Yeah. Well, we were in St. Augustine several years back with our family. I think I told you, rented a little Airbnb there, and we hung out for about a week just in between events because I was traveling, speaking, and we had a little bit of time. So we went to the the old fortress and all the things. It's a
very interesting,
fascinating city, and beautiful to boot. Right. Just amazing. Did any of your other family members come down, like your mom or your siblings or anybody from either side?
We came down, and it was about 2 years later, my mom, who hated Florida, she's like, all right, I'm going to just try it out. So we rented her this little place for 3 months during the winter, because you have to think about these things. She hated the snow. I'm like, look,
3 months during the winter. I wonder what she'll think if she stays here in the wintertime. Okay.
She never left. She's been here ever since.
Yeah, that was a
You have to think. You have to think about it.
That was manipulative, but it worked.
I know. It worked out, but it just worked out. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, slowly. People have been coming down. Sure.
So I think that because I was interviewed on your show talking about my new book from Brave and all the stuff that we've got going on. And I was really interested because you and your husband do life so closely together. Right. Your family is just, you guys are doing the thing.
Yeah.
And Jay and I are also, doing the thing. And I'm curious to know, because there are lots of people now who I think, especially post-COVID, who are like, okay, they're not doing, they're not doing big pharma anymore, right? Trying to move more to alternative ways of, healthcare and all the things. And there's a resurgence of family, like a lot of people living almost, buying houses in the same neighborhood and things like that. And I'm curious to know, kind of how you, as a homeschool mom, how do you find balance? Because you're still homeschooling, right?
Yeah.
You've got, I don't know, how many kids you still have?
So three are still home.
Okay, so 3 still
actively
home.
Homeschooling. And 3 are still home too, but they're just,
right.
They're not being homeschooled, so I don't know.
Well, I have 2 at home that are,
they love being home.
Graduated and gone. It is interesting though. It's an interesting dynamic because I think, and this is a really good question to ask you, but, people talk about these are arrows, launch that arrow out there, but sometimes they're like boomerangs, and they sort of come back. And when they do, which is great, we've got a couple of our kids at home right now that are graduated and adults. But it kind of upsets the equilibrium at home. At least I think it does for the younger ones who you're like, okay, I need you guys up at 7. These are your chores. We're doing this for dinner. And the grown-up kids are like coming and going at whenever they want to. And the younger ones are like, hey, wait, why isn't your name on the chore chart?
Yep.
How do you guys balance that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I feel like it has to go. You have to figure it out as you go, right? There's no manual for your family. And it's annoying. It's like, why didn't you make a manual for me? I want to know what to do. And it was the first time my daughter, she's like, Mom, I don't even know if I want to live here because I don't know where I fit in.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, man.
Because I'm not your child.
Right.
Yeah.
And I sat down in her room on the floor and I'm like, listen, I've never done this before. I have no idea. And I was just straight out honest. I'm like, I've never done this. So
you and I both don't know what we're doing. So let's figure it out.
Yes. And so she actually, it took a minute and was like, wow, I never really thought about that before. Because our kids, see, the thing is we tell our kids what to do and then they leave. And then we're like, here's how it's going to be when you move back.
Right.
We never have a conversation. And I think communication we forget that we have to learn how to communicate with our older children.
Yeah.
And it's going to be different. And that's the thing with the moms, with us, and I'm talking about myself here and my control.
Yeah.
I have to let go of the control of motherhood, how it was. And it's really hard because it's sad. You kind of miss that. Remember when you were little?
Yeah. My friend, Rachel Carmen, was on the show with me the other day. Rachel and I, our kids are exactly the same age, the oldest, like 32, but then she crammed 7 into a much, shorter span of time.
Yeah.
And so I still have a 13-year-old, but she's an empty nester now.
Mm-hmm.
And Julia, we cried.
Yeah.
Like just talking about the transition from homeschool mom, where you're just, you're pouring your life into your kids and you're doing all the things. And it's a bear. Like that transition is really, it can be very, very hard, especially if you don't have something else that you're focused on or something else that you're looking forward to doing.
Yeah.
But the transition to having older children, if you haven't prepared for it, and I don't know how you can.
Yeah. You have to go through it.
You have to kind of go through it. And I love what you said about communication, because I feel like Jay and I sort of tripped and fell and stumbled into the next season. We're like, oh, hey, that didn't work. Oh, hey, that's not working.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, maybe we should charge rent. Or hey, maybe we should, what kind of expectations do you think are reasonable for parents who have adult children who move back home?
I think it's important to remember, and when I think about, for me, I didn't homeschool them for them. I a lot of times, like I hold it against them. Like, how dare you treat me like this? All those years I sacrificed. and it's one of those things. It's like, am I doing that?
All the moms in the world are like,
yeah, right?
That's right.
And so I would have done that no matter what. And that's what unconditional love is.
Yeah.
It's not with condition. Okay, I'm going to homeschool you, so you're going to owe me for the rest of your life.
Right.
I'm going to love you for wherever you are in your life. Like, I'm going to meet you where you're at, because that's what God does, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And as a mom, it's like when they come back, it's not the same. And it's one of those things that we have to let go of as the mothers. Mm-hmm. We have to say, okay, it's going to be different. I don't know what that looks like, and that's okay. I'm going to learn about this new person coming into our home.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a control thing that we have. We want to control what it's going to be like. Just let go.
Why can't we control everything, Julia?
No, it would make life so much easier.
Yeah, if we could just say, oh, you're 24, I need you home by 6 for dinner. Exactly. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're not coming home tonight, Mom. Remember I told you I have a concert, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm working late or whatever.
Yeah.
And so for the longest time, I was like, do I make dinner for 5? Do I make it for 7?
Sure.
Should I make enough spaghetti to feed you and your college friends? Or so finally, we sort of came up with this, like, if I don't hear from you guys by 3, I'm assuming you're not coming for dinner.
Okay.
So like that happened last night.
How did you come up with that? Because that's the communication part that we have to play around with.
It came up with after I had a crying fit on the floor, and I did the full martyr mom thing. Like, I made this dinner and no one cared, and your little sister's here by herself, all the things.
Yes.
Well, I realized, okay, I can't, and I'm not supposed to control them. They need to have adult lives, but also, and this was where we compromised, there needs to be some respect on their end. So that communication on their end. There are other people in the house besides you. Now, if you want to live by yourself or with your roommates, great. But you don't. You live here.
Right.
So while you live here, we need to have a set of, communication. Like, your name's not on the chore chart anymore, because I'm expecting that you're going to look around and go, oh, hey, the kitchen needs to be tidied up. I don't want to put your name on a chore chart.
Yeah.
And so I think it was a lot of just trial and error. But like, for example, last night, one of my children, one of my kids, they're not a kid, they're not a child. One of my young adults came home, but she was late. And Sailor, my youngest, had made dinner for everybody. So we had, salmon and mashed potatoes and Brussels sprouts and roasted veggies and all the things. But we didn't hear from her. And so she came home and everybody was cleaning up from dinner. And she was like, oh man, I forgot to, because she just knows we're just going to go on and do life.
Yeah.
And that takes the navigating the season thing is no joke. And I think you rightly pointed out, it really can hurt because you had it one way for so long, and now you're trying to ease into the other way. But the relationships that you get on the other side of it, if you can navigate this thing correctly, are going to bless you for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
and it's worth pouring into.
Absolutely. And I think that's what I was saying before is that control. If you let go of the control, and then if we look at the other person and saying, okay, who is this person? And say, listen, my oldest is Gabriella. I'm like, I don't know how to mother you anymore. I don't know what you need. What do you need from me? Because it's a two-way. We forget that. We always think it's just me telling you.
Because it was for so long.
Yes, right. Yeah. And she's like, Mom, I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, okay, good. So we both don't know. So let's do this together, And I think, like I said, when the kids realize, especially the adult ones realize that you've never done this before, this is new to you, they have a new respect for you. Because then even she comes home and the girls are like, oh, but she's not doing this and that and the other thing, like you were saying before. And I said, listen, Gabriella was my little mother's helper for years. She took care of me when I was pregnant so many times. I said, I promise you, she's done what you girls have done plus more. I said, I just want you to, you know what I mean? Because it's important that they realize that too. But at the same time, giving everyone their space. And, one of the things that I ask people, if I coach them, I ask what their house is like. Where you live, would you call it a house or would you call it a home? And it helps us think about it, because if it's a house, it's just a place to go to, or is it a home where everyone is coming home and knowing that they're loved and valued where they are in life? It's something to think about for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's never, ever too late to work on a relationship with your adult children, ever.
No, I agree. And the knowing now, like I love to tell, especially homeschool moms, I think you just pour their lives into their kids.
Yeah.
And then it feels like, anyway, it sort of comes to this sort of abrupt, like, oh, hey, we're done with that part.
Yeah.
But by the grace of God, long after you've closed the last page on that math book and you're done teaching about prepositions and you're done arguing about, whether or not it was their turn to do the laundry or whatever it is, by the grace of God, you're going to have this beautiful friendship with your adult kids. And they're going to be calling you for crock pot recipes, or in your case, your favorite Italian recipe or whatever it is. But just
that's right.
Those relationships are precious. And the culture is all about separating, right, the family unit. But God is all about families. Yeah. And it's something that you guys have really prioritized. Talk to the parents who are listening to this right now who might be younger in their journey. Maybe their oldest kid is 10 and they're trying to navigate. Maybe kids are still coming into their home, and they want to build that relationship with their child, with their children, that will set the foundation for the rest of their lives. What are some areas that you say, hey, pour into this? Don't miss this. Because it's so easy. Like, you focus on, especially if you're homeschooling, I'm focused on academics, that's
Absolutely.
the thing. But you can do one to the detriment of the other.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of times, especially as a young mom, we sometimes mother out of fear. We're so afraid that we're ruining the kids that we push too much, and then we back off, and then we are very lenient, and then we punish a little bit too much, or we're like, oh, they're going to end up this way. And then we battle with our spouse because they grew up a different way. And so it's almost like trial and error. And I kind of feel bad for the older kids.
It. Yeah.
Yes. Because you're like, oh my gosh, if I do this, you're going to be selfish when you grow up, and we parent based off fear. And if you really think about why you yell at the kids, most of the time it's because you feel responsible for how they acted, because you're the mom. And so it's a big reflection time for all you moms to think about the last time you yelled at your kids. It's usually something that you feel like you let them down, and that's why they did what they did. And so it's very interesting when you think about it. But I just encourage you, don't be afraid about that. Don't be afraid about your kids being, if you selfish or something. Just love them for where they are and who they are, because you are, and we, right, as moms, we're guiding our children, we're forming them. And so if they have a scary view of God, guess what? It might not go well. They might turn away at some point in life because it's scary. If they have a scary view of, I don't know, their father, they're afraid of their dad, they're not going to go to him if trouble times are happening ahead. And so we have to really have a reflection on about, like I said before, what is our home like? If our home is a happy place everyone comes to and can rest, then you're doing a great job. And if it's not, we could change it. And that's the beauty of it. We could change it. Our kids literally just need to be loved by us. And that's it. The academics, of course, are important. All of that stuff is important. But And that's really my answer. I know that's so simple, but I think sometimes we complicate life so greatly. And if we just simplify it.
A lot of times, the answers are pretty simple.
Yeah.
Like I said, we were talking about marriage a couple of weeks ago on the show, and I've had some wonderful, in fact, I should bring your husband on sometime, you guys, and it'll be fun just to watch the two of you kibitzing.
Yes.
But I think, even in marriage, my husband's actually pretty simple.
Yeah.
He's pretty simple.
Oh, 100%. It's annoying sometimes. I'm like, why?
It's annoying. Women are like, and everything's connected to everything. And right. And dinner's connected to your mother, and mother's connected to the bank account. The bank account's connected to the job, and everything's connected. And I love, this is a Laugh Radio Better Marriage, right? And Phil Gunger is like, men are like, their brains are like compartmentalized, right?
Right.
Everything's in little tiny boxes. And when they need to talk about something, they take that one little box out, being very careful not to touch any other boxes, right? And when they're done talking about, they just put it back really carefully, right? But when you look at it, at the end of the day, when you boil it down, how gracious of the Lord, right, to give us these, men who really tend to be more analytical. I'm obviously generalizing, but a little bit more analytical. As opposed to the emotional nature of a woman.
So beautifully. They balance so beautifully.
Yeah.
Yes. I love it.
And we overcomplicate it,
of course.
Right? We overcomplicate it. I mean, at the risk of sharing too much information. I was talking to my husband the other day. I'm like, okay, can we just boil it? What do you need? And he was like, sex. I'm like, okay, now we know.
See, that was an easy answer.
This is an easy answer. This is an easy answer. And I think sometimes we do this with our children. We overcomplicate it. Maybe we sit down with our children and say, okay, tell me what this is about, right? Because we're having this, this argument, this discussion, this disagreement, whatever, or maybe I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
And I need to go and say, okay, before I lose my absolute ever-loving mind, let's have a conversation, and we start with, what do you need?
Yeah.
Maybe that biblical principle of putting others first actually works, Julia.
It does. It's annoying because I actually figured that out later in my life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that. There is something that one of my husband's community members mentioned to me, which I so use now. And it's called ISH, ISH. And it's come up with the issue, like within 2 sentences. What's the solution? Find out what the solution is. Again, simplify. And how can that other person help you? And I'm like, that's
what's the
easy.
issue?
Yeah.
What's the solution or a possible solution?
Yeah. What's one solution? And then how can, either you help each other depending on the situation, or how you can ask for help. Because okay, Heidi, how many times are we frantic? Especially you're talking about how women are. They're always angry about something. And it's like, did you ever ask your husband for help? No, because you should know. Okay. So that's what I'm trying to say. A lot of times that communication, it's like, oh my gosh, if I just asked, my last 2 weeks would have been pretty calm. But I'm like how does he not know?
Instead I've launched into martyr mom. Yeah, now I'm the martyr mom.
Nobody's helping me. No one's listening to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, should I actually ask anyone for help? No. No. Because they should just know. And then we stick with that. But my gosh, I stopped doing that years ago because I'm like, that's kind of, that's not really helping me. I'm like, let me just ask and let me watch how I ask. Yeah. I don't say it, hey kids, why aren't you helping me? I'm cleaning. Hey kids, you want to put some music on? Because they love like Hamilton or some kind of like musical. Like it's annoying. Like they know every word of
Mamma Mia. I know. We had that playing in our house.
Yeah. And so the kids put it on and we all clean. And it's actually fun because we make jokes and we have fun. And so that's my point. It's like I changed how I talk to people. And therefore our relationships naturally changed. It's really amazing once we do that. And we just start one at a time. Try it once. And if it works for you, try it again. I'm not, a lot of times we try to like change ourselves completely and the kids are like, Mom, what are you doing? Like, what is this new? What is this new you? Get rid of it. Little things at a time.
Yeah. And you want to set yourself up.
Listen. Half the time we don't even listen to our kids because we're talking so much. Oh my gosh. Like
that's my problem in life. That is my problem.
Ask a question and don't talk. Yeah. It's amazing what you learn. Unbelievable.
Ask a question and then don't talk.
Don't talk. Just try it. Yeah. Try it at dinner.
Just try it. Try not talking.
Amazing.
I will let you know, Julia, how that works for me.
Yes.
I make a living talking.
I know. And that's the thing. Our kids hear us talking all the time. And so they kind of tune us out.
What's she saying? No one cares. No one cares. No, I noticed my daughter Summer a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember what happened. I feel like my life moves at an ungodly pace. But after the evening was over, she came up to me and I was washing dishes and she was like, "Hey, Mom, thank you for just really being present tonight. I noticed that you interacted with everybody, like you were really present." And I was like, "Well, thank you, honey. I appreciate that." And then later on, because I'm Captain Anxiety, able to leap to the worst conclusion in a single bound. I'm sitting in my bed at night and I'm like, okay, she went out of her way to tell me, thank you for being present. So what she really means is that hardly ever happens.
Yeah.
Right? Yes. What she really means is, I hardly ever see that in you. Because you're distracted, you're this, you're that. So like last night at dinner, I remember what she said, and I try to just be present.
Yeah.
Which means leave my phone in the farthest other end of the house, right? Along with the to-do list and all the other things, and maybe just engage. I think we overcomplicate things. I love that you said that because, relationships, you get out of relationships what you put into them.
Exactly.
That's the marriage relationship. That's your friendships. That's your family. That's your children.
Yeah.
That's your relationship with the Lord.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
This has been so fun. I'm out of time for the regular show. We're going to come back for happy hour, and I've got all my fun questions to ask you. But where can people find you guys online?
Yeah. So you can go to juliaandgino.com for our website. And you can also email me, old-fashioned email, juliabarbaro@gmail.com.
Old-fashioned email.
Yes.
Julia Barbaro.
That's it.
@gmail.com. Julia, it's just been a delight. Thank you so much for coming on here today and just dishing about marriage and life and children. It's just been a real encouragement. I know a lot of the listeners today are going to feel the same way I do. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Heidi.
For more information about today's guest, you can head on over to HeidiSt.John.com/podcast. And I'll link back to Julia in the show notes today. And also, I just want to encourage you, wherever you are, you guys take time. I mean, this was really wise counsel. Take time to love the people in your life, the people that God has given to you. This is your primary responsibility. These are the relationships that are going to matter the most. So nurture them, love your people well. Thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to join me over at the Faith That Speaks community. We've got a brand new study going on over there. I am diving into the lives of some extraordinary women in the Bible. We're going to see what they did great and what they tripped up on, and we can really learn a lot. So that's faiththatspeaks.com, and you can find me again at HeidiSt.John.com. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll see you right back here again at the intersection of faith and culture.